Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of the Earth and Cosmic Wisdom series. These are conversations for these evolutionary times here on planet Earth. And I'm here with a beautiful woman that I've followed and worked with from a distance for a few years now. And I deeply appreciate her wisdom and her heart and integrity with what she brings through her work. And this is Raquel Spring, and Raquel is a fourth generation astrologer from Brazil originally, I believe, and currently residing in Sedona in Arizona. And so I really feel that Raquel's approach is multidimensional. It's very heart-centered and deep soulful work that she brings to the lens of astrology on all levels. And I very much understand that that's just one part of her and her wisdom that she brings to the world. So we're going to open up a conversation here today and come from that place of really seeing what's alive in your work, Raquel, and also diving into astrology and the prominence and importance of that for these times.
Yes, I'm so grateful. Thank you, Mara. Thank you for having me here. It's so special to not only participate in your show, but connect with you in this way and bring forth this transmission together with you as a sister, because we've known each other for some time, but only through social media, Facebook, and now we're here doing this interview. So grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. It's so needed. I think there's so many different unique voices and perspectives out there, particularly in the astrology world, across the different disciplines of astrology. And I love hearing and from the different teachers who are bringing through their unique slants on what's occurring. And I particularly resonate with what you've been bringing through and how you empower and teach people in your astrology groups as well, I believe. So I think what's alive for you right now with all that's moving through. I know that this month in particular has a lot of different planetary aspects. So I don't know, is there something that you feel inspired to share about this coming into the midpoint of the equinox times and into spring new time astrologically?
If you don't mind, I'm just going to give a little introduction here to get to this point about today. And I do want to say that when I first started dabbling in astrology, for me, it was just one more modality of many that I had studied already before. It was just one thing that I was just curious about. But when the more I studied about it and the more I would look at my own charts and see what the message was coming through about me and my journey here, I was so in awe to find a system, a modality that helped to explain in such great depth who I was and what I was doing here. Now, mind you, I had spent years of my life before that studying various different modalities, everything you could possibly imagine in the metaphysical community and all those sciences and even psychology as well, really trying to understand human behavior at the end of the day. That's how I started. And so when I came into astrology, it was just one more technique, one more system. But I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that it wasn't just one more. This was the most intricate system that I had come across because it helped me understand myself on every level: mind, body, spirit, you know what I mean? And just every layer of who I was and what I was doing here. So it really changed my life. It really did. And when I had that experience, my first instinct was, I want to help other people have this experience too. So that's when I started really getting deeper into it and working with it. So I have definitely seen astrology help people in a very profound way, the same way that it has helped me. And it's so exciting to see people's reaction and their life's transformed the same way that I also had that same experience. It's very beautiful.
Mm.
So I've been, traveling a lot, as you know, Mara. I've
Yes.
been jumping around from place to place and just kind of getting to know the world and different countries and taking my work along with me as well. And really exploring the extent of what astrology is and what it can do for us. And then last year, when I was looking at astrology and just the astrology in general for the world, I'm sorry, no, not last year. This was in 2019, okay?
Yes.
2019. And I was looking at the astrology for 2020, getting ready around August of 2019. And, I always kind of do that around that time of the year. I just kind of get understanding of what the next year is holding for us. And when I did that in 2019, I was shocked to see what we were heading into. I was like, whoa, 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 what's going on here?
Yep.
And I seriously, I didn't know what to do. It was so profound. I didn't sleep the whole night. I was up all night. I was like, how do I tell people this?
Right.
What's happening? And so I dove deep and I dove deep and I started to research and try to understand these configurations, and finding out that each one of them was just so rare and unique in and of itself. And we're here in a year having a whole bunch of them consecutively. I knew we were in for a big transition.
Yes.
That's exactly what I called the year 2020. And I even made videos about this in 2019, calling the year of 2020 the year of transition.
Mm.
So much so that I did a video at the end of the year called 2020 Chaos or Restructuring, because I knew we were in for something big and it was going to be both. So, this is the thing with astrology, is that this is not a tool for prediction. I don't think prediction exists because we are creating our reality as we go. But astrology does give us contexts for our evolution. So within those contexts, we have free will and we choose what we're going to do so that we can then move on to the next cycle. And through these cycles, we experience evolution.
Mm.
So, when March of 2020 came along and I heard the first rumors of something, and people were asking around, I said, "Oh man, this is it." And they were saying, "Stock up for 2 weeks." And I said, "Nope. This is going to go on for a year." Okay? This was March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are in March 2021. And I remember everyone started calling me, okay, the astrologer. What's happening? What do I do? What's this all about? And I just knew in my heart that this was it. This was the catalyst for this transition. And even though at the time people didn't know what it was or where it was coming from or how long it was going to last, I didn't know details either, but I knew that it was going to go on for a year. And so, I helped my community to prepare as much as possible for this transition. And I have still been guiding my community and many others through this transition as we go through it. So, a long story short is that this transition is a catalyst for human evolution. So, what we are doing here right now is that we are standing at the threshold of a new phase of this cycle.
Mm.
So we've been through a whole year of this crazy not knowing what's happening and just everything up in the air, things just being completely swept from underneath our feet and our lives.
Yeah.
Our identities have been completely dissolved. It's been a collective death process that we've been going through.
Yeah.
And now we are here at the threshold of a new phase of this transition. So this is where we're at, Mara.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And boy, don't we feel it. It is wild. That unknown and that mapping. I mean, yeah, it's Do you? I mean, I think we're the year that you've seen to this point, and then what's coming forward is, I think, we're still in that destruction phase. It doesn't feel like we've met the rebuild yet.
So this is part of a much greater cycle. In my work with astrology, I work primarily with cycles. That means that I don't work with, oh, you're a Capricorn sun, so this is what's going to happen in your week. Astrology is changing. We are evolving as well with astrology. We are understanding that astrology is much more than just your horoscope sign. Many different branches of astrology and ways that you can understand it better and use it better. And what I do in my work is I track cycles and I look at the greater energies that are creating contexts for us to then live our month, our year, our decade. And the collective cycle that we're in right now is really pushing for a transition, a huge reset in our economy, in our political developments, and just society in general. We have opened up a new cycle here. This happened officially in December, okay, of 2020. We opened up a new cycle of financial, political, and social developments. This was in December. And it was a fantastic, spectacular alignment that we had. Very, very powerful, very rare, very strong. One of those that you don't ever experience, maybe once in a lifetime if you're lucky. And this was huge for the world because it just initiated a new 200 plus year cycle of social developments. And now these social developments are focusing in the air element, whereas for the last 200 years or so, they've been focusing on the earth element. So this is where our society has been, basing a lot of our, we've been having a lot of earth energy, let's put it this way. For example, it initiated in the industrial age where we had a lot of heavy machinery. We've been using fossil fuel a lot. We've been using paper money and just a lot of earth elements, more dense. And now we are becoming lighter into the air, right? Into the air category here, to be the new foundation for our systems. And this will trickle into many different aspects of our reality and our lives. But for society, this is a big deal. This is why we're going to see a huge quantum leap in technology take place. We're going to see a huge quantum leap in education take place. That goes under the element of air as well. Communication, the way we communicate. I don't know if you've noticed, Tamara, how telepathy has been, people are just catching on to it more, talking more about it, experiencing more about it.
Yes.
And this is all just part of our a script here with evolution. So the digital money as well, like things are just becoming a lot more digital. And there's a lot of different things that moving into the air element represents for us. But overall, this is also a part of a much greater cycle of 2,000 plus years. And this greater cycle is what many people call the Aquarian age.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we are transitioning ages, which is something that happens only 2,000 plus years. So this transition of ages is really the bigger cycle at play here. And it is something that we've been gradually transitioning into. There is no beginning date and ending date. There's definitely been a transition into this, but this is a huge, huge chunk of the transition right now. It's palpable. The Aquarian age is palpable in so many ways to us right now. And especially with the new cycle, the sub-cycle with the air element, this is very much supporting the Aquarian age, much more than the earth element, because Aquarius is an air sign. So now we have this full force focus in the air element, and our lives are changing. Society is changing. The earth is changing. And this particular transition into the air element for society is a transition that we are going to go through for about 10 years. So we're looking at this decade here that we are paving the way for a new way of living, for a lot of new concepts to come into the earth and into our understanding, and our generations, our children that are going to come and continue this incredible journey here on planet Earth. So,
Yeah.
so this over here is actually just the tip of the iceberg. Transitioning goes. I want to feel fear because I know we had it in 2020, and when I say that we're going to be transitioning for about 10 years, this doesn't mean that we're going to be experiencing this level of intensity for 10 years.
Right. Of course. Yes.
But it does mean that we will go through a phase of adapting. So this can be uncomfortable for some people. And this is where I've been helping guide people through this transition, is helping people understand, first of all, what this is all about, and then helping them ease into this new way of thinking, this new way of living, this new way of being. Because the more we prolong the old, the harder is going to be for us, right? And the more difficult it's going to be. So this is when we try to hold on to the past, when we try to hold on to the way that we were doing things even a year ago. We're in completely new territory here.
Right. Right. I completely agree. Thank you. Yeah. And it changes on a daily basis, doesn't it? Really, that deconstruction of the old self and of the reality, it's meeting it new and fresh every day, because
I love that you're saying, yeah, Mara, I love that you're saying that, because one of the other bigger cycles that we're at here, I work with cycles within cycles within cycles. So we have the 2000-year cycle, the 200-year cycle, then there's a bunch of other cycles, interacting together. But one of the cycles happening here, and this one happens for a year and a half. Okay, we have another year of it left. This is a very important cycle that I work with that has to do specifically with the collective soul intention. So this is spirit. Call it God if you want, call it your higher self or our higher self. I call it our collective awareness, and the collective intention of the soul. And that collective intention changes signs every year and a half. So collectively, we go through a year and a half of evolution, mastering certain things with that sign. So, and just to explain a little, the cycle we were in before with the collective soul intention, Mara, this, you're going to love this, was a focus on the feminine. Okay.
Wow,
this is where the matriarchy energy was returning to the planet, because the North Node was in Cancer prior to this. So basically what's happening now is that with the North Node paving the way in Cancer, preparing us to receive more of that feminine energy, having more strong women leaders rise into their power, and also into positions of leadership in the planet. This is very exciting to watch happen, and paving the way for that. Now we are having the North Node, which is what I used to track, that in Gemini. And Gemini, I talk about what that means, but I want to add here specifically the adaptability. I don't know if that's how you say it. I'm from Brazil, so English not Brazilian, but just to be more adaptable.
Yes.
And this is so important to go through these things, because one of the things about these times that we're going through is that, I don't know if you've noticed this, but our concept of time is changing completely. Because one of the factors of this transition is that we are entering a new form of perception. And maybe you've heard some of this be expressed through the word dimension. So we're changing dimensions. We're entering the 5D, right? The fifth dimension. What is that? It's a way of perceiving and interacting with reality. So as we go through this, and our perception of time is so changing, and thank God I'm aware of this, because if I wasn't, I'd be like, what's happening? Oh my God. Like, I'll tell you, 2 days ago, I was not tired. And I know this is happening to so many people. Our sleep patterns are changing as well. Sometimes I'll go through the whole night without, just wide awake. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm not used to this. I'm a great sleeper. So we're having to adapt. We're having to adjust to this. And this is exactly why holding on to the old is not helpful, because every time we hold on to the old, we are preventing ourselves from changing along with the cycles and experiencing this evolutionary process. So the rest of the cycles are going like this and moving forward, and just sweeping all themes and people along with it. But the people that hold on to the past, gonna boof, they get completely disconnected, and it doesn't work. Not if you're going into the new cycle.
Right.
So adaptability is everything.
Right. That's so true, and you can feel that wobble when there is that holding on to the old reality, whatever that looks like for you in your life.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
wobble. There's a wobble because you're not able to keep pace with the time shift, I suppose.
Yeah, how have you I'm curious, Mara, how have you been feeling this concept of time? This is so incredible. Like, time is not linear anymore.
No.
It is not linear. And I'm just wondering, like, how you're experiencing different things with time or your sleep patterns.
Absolutely.
You've
Oh,
been noticing this.
absolutely. Well, there's no calendar anymore. There's no, like, the days are not the days anymore. You're waking
Mhm.
up in the morning, and there is a discernible, for me anyway, a discernible shift into a kind of a nothingness and nowhereness, because you have no orientation anymore as before.
Wow. Yeah, we could maybe make a show about this some other time and talk more in depth about what that means
Definitely.
and the different feelings
Mm,
that accompany it, so people can, because I get a lot of people asking me like, "What do you mean time isn't linear anymore?" And I bet that if we sit here and share some examples, people would be like, "Oh yes, it's true. I'm also experiencing that."
yes.
Yes. Oh, and to help people understand and where these things are starting to show up, this is only going to enhance those experiences and even collectively
Yes.
allow us to migrate even faster into this dimension and this awareness. But I'd love to do a
Definitely.
show with you one
I
day
would love
about
to.
time.
Time and moving through dimensions in your day and what that looks like. I think that'll be helpful for people
Yeah,
for sure.
what that means. Yes, yes. I just want feel like I feel a lot of us, like, we've overcomplicated perception of spirituality a lot, and even like going to other dimensions and in other dimensions. It's actually a lot simpler than we think. And
Mm,
this is something that, again, I would love to dive deeper into with you, maybe because it's an extensive topic. But there's so many
definitely.
different ways, through dreams, through meditation, through waking state,
Mm,
just being aware of certain things, right? And so when we get more familiar with this flow, this way of interacting with life, it becomes the
mm,
norm. It's not
yes.
just for those reserved moments that we go to a retreat and we
No.
experience that, or we get a little glitter taste. Like, this is reality now.
Yep. Yeah. The gap has closed. That gap that was there
Yeah.
there is no more. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Well, let's vision to dive into that at another point for sure. That feels
Yes.
that feels needed. It feels like, in order for people to find ground within themselves right now, when this shift is so massive, that those points of simplicity, simple things that they can integrate into their day in terms of being aware of what that looks like. So you're so right. We overcomplicate things, and I think simplicity is needed for sure.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah, and I feel, I'll just speak to that. The connection is a little bit unstable here with the internet, so I'm hoping that we keep that it keeps coming through here. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yes. I I want to add here something about the Gemini North Node, because I know I touched a little bit. I said I want to say more about it.
Yes,
And one of the
please.
things about Gemini is being versatile, adaptable, right? If that is adaptable, I think it is. So we
It is.
are adaptable and versatile. We are allowing ourselves to see what is ahead of us and what is waiting for us in this new cycle. And we're able to invite that into our experiences with ease and grace. This is very important. I call on this all the time because the advancement of technology is a part of the cycle moving forward. And I know a lot of people have many questions. What does that mean for us? That is also another topic we can dive into on another
Huge.
show. Uh, Yes, and just like I told you that the cycles, they will only open up context for us. Context. It will not give us the actual outcome. So the context of technology is a very real one here opening up for us. And we, through our awareness and our choices, we have the opportunity to choose what we are going to be feeding into as far as technology goes. Okay. And so this is a very important time for us too.
Mm.
But with the advancement of technology being introduced, there are other things as well that are being introduced in this new cycle coming up here. And with the focus in Gemini, there is a big highlight on our voice, our speech, our communication. So this is where, and I'm going to keep it very short and simple because I have many other videos in my work where I talk about this concept over here of the Leo eclipses that happened in 2017. Well, now we are bridging, this is part of another cycle interplay here, we are bridging those energies that were birthed in 2017 with today. And this is creating a really powerful window for new leaders to come out. This is the combination of Leo now with Gemini, the voice. And I've been talking about this since May of 2020. This is when we had the shift of the nodes into Gemini. Gemini and Sagittarius. So, this is where we started to open up the cycle, the context for humanity, where we have a focus on new leaders coming out. So this got me really excited because I knew that we were going to start opening a phase where people are ready to speak up. People are ready to share their truths. We're ready now, and this is my main message about the lunar nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius, is that one of our transitions here, and this is going to be active for another year. One of our transitions is that we are migrating from the need to have the big voices then filtered through to our, our books or what we read and what we digest. This is like we are not anymore in a phase of big leaders, of one person dictating what to do. I mean, even the government, look at what's happening. Even with the government, things are such a mess right now that we are having no other choice but to gather in small little communities and figure out solutions between ourselves, because we're realizing that if we want something different, then we have to roll up our sleeves and do the work. So now you're seeing a lot of initiatives that are coming from that all over the place, and one of them is in the government. We're seeing that just having one president, that we cannot rely anymore on the entire country being, at the mercy, so to speak, of one person. And we see that this is not working. So when it comes to leadership, we're going through a huge transition of the spokesperson, the one leader that is now being distributed into many voices. And this is also especially so when it comes to spirituality and beliefs, because the South Node is in Sagittarius, and that's what Sagittarius represents. So the South Node will bring the outgrown, the energy that has reached a point of maturity that is no longer useful for our evolutionary development. not in the same way we've been doing. So we go through these mini transitions and cycles. And right now we are transitioning from the Sagittarius energy, all the big leaders, all the big, the minister of the church, or you have the voice of God, the mouthpiece of God, and now it's being dispersed through to the people. And so this is where we are finding many people now wanting to start to speak up on different things, all the way from government, these little circles that are coming together, and let's help bring change to our little community here, but also people like you and I that have inner truths to share. We have maybe new understandings of all the wonderful things that we ourselves have been learning. So even, for example, astrology for me, maybe for you, you have been learning and working with energy work, and you've been doing Reiki, for example, and now you're realizing that, hey, there's a little more to the picture. All of my experience with it helped me to understand about Reiki, or about working with energy, or past life regression. So all rearrangement in how we perceive spirituality, our work, and also how we're going to start to express it and communicate it to others. So there's going to be a lot of new energy coming up as well. Understanding about the chakras, or it's all new. We're realizing so many new facets now, and the new leaders are coming out to start to that. Very exciting.
I love that. Yeah. And I've heard you speak about the new leaders in some of your recent videos as well. And it resonates so deeply because it is that culminating of the gifts, of the lifetimes of gifts that are coming together for people. And then reworking them in a whole new way, right? That I know I know that you had spoken to, that sense of everything that you possibly thought you were even last year or last week is being rearranged in a whole new configuration.
Yes, absolutely. Even like here in Sedona. So I live in Sedona, right? And here in Sedona, there are all the people here, the most of them, they work with retreats and these big gatherings and these big youthful gatherings as well, parties, and now we can't do any of that anymore. So I am seeing how people here in Sedona are all having to change the way they work. This is not about having all the people come to them anymore, right? Like it used to be before, the leader, the one voice, and you have the crowd. Now this is so much about the smaller circles. This is about having a very a much more of a brotherhood type of scenario where we're all equal, we're all one, we're all family, and we're all listening to each other and honoring each other and creating that experience together. And this is where I see even like retreats, if they're going to continue. I mean, I'm sure they will. This is not going to last forever, the whole separation and the COVID, but it's going to change. People are looking more for that smaller circle, this like cozier space where they can be heard and also share. So, right now all the big leaders are having to now look for ways to do it online, and it's just different. The cycles are changing. And when there are gatherings, this is much more about having everybody feel heard and having that intimate space where we're realizing this is part of the greater cycle. We're all one. We're all one. So this is a collective experience that we're all going through. And even the fact that we are having a change in leadership and a perception of leadership as well, and what that means, it's perfect. It's helping us understand that we're one. Because if we don't have one person anymore that we're relying on to bring us our truth, our experience with the divine, or even the government, we realize that, hey, it's up to us. It's every moment of my experience that I'm creating that. So we start to realize actually how connected we are. We can't wait for that one person to come tell us what to do. The same way that we can't blame that one person if that thing doesn't work out right. It's all us now. So in this experience, we're having a new awareness of what oneness means.
Yes. And I think many people who have been on this train for a long time, never thought that it would result in what is happening in our world right now. In that total destruction that we have called this forward, and the cycles of time have predicted this, right?
Mm-hmm. We have been calling it forward with every choice we made to live healthy, to love nature, to preserve nature, to develop ourselves in our own nature. Every time we have been doing that in these last few years and decades, we have been calling for this transition. We have been calling collectively for this. So you're right, Mara. It can seem a little daunting and a little scary if you don't know what's going on. Right. It's very different. We're in a very different reality, and every week that goes by, every day it goes by, we see that it's not going back. So it can be a little scary if you don't understand. And this is why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to explain this and give meaning and perspective to what we are experiencing.
Thank you, Raquel. Yes. And I think that is part of, helping people understand really the true importance of astrology, and knowing and being connected with the star wisdom, and understanding these cycles of time in our own lives, and how we can master and have that foundation in ourselves. I think it's pivotal. And I'm only a humble student, dipping in to those spheres, but it's so important.
Laura, I have so much respect for you. I don't know you very well. This is actually the first time that we connect like this, but we know each other for years, like message, and I've accompanied some of your journey, and you definitely went through a lot of intense preparation for this. A couple years before this whole transition began for the world, and I have so much love and respect for you. I know you experienced death as well with someone very close to you and your family. And I truly, before I let you comment a little on that, I just want to add how grateful I am for beings like you and so many others that really, at the end of the day, we've been helping pave the way. This is what I see, because like now we are going through a collective death. And many, many, many people in the whole world are experiencing this level of death on many levels: physical with loved ones, emotional, even spiritual, and especially spiritual. We have to be okay with that. Okay, just a little parenthesis. We have to be okay with this death of the old way of perceiving our spirituality as well. But there's this collective death process happening, and this is why there is such a strong grieving as well.
Yes.
Because we, in this death process, we are losing our old identity. And this is so scary. Oh my God, without an identity, it's like, who am I? What do I want to do? What's going on? So many of us have gone through this loss of identity and this death process individually in many different ways. And I want to honor that to each person that's listening right now and watching this, because I'm sure there are many people watching and listening that also are part of the first waivers that have been going through this experience of death before all of this happened, because now we're able to be here and hold space for people that are experiencing this and say, I know what it feels like. And don't worry, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and help people understand this process. And it's so important, Mara. So I would love to hear you share a little bit about that, because I accompanied your journey with that, and it was so profound and touching. So thank you as well also for being one of these first waivers.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
sweet.
For that reflection. I mean, I just so agree with you, and I see you also in, it's anyone who has been on the path of the death and rebirth, the shamanic death, whatever, the death of the stormy self, all of those parts of us that die to awaken to a new sense of ourselves. And I know that everybody is experiencing that in their own unique ways right now. And yeah, I mean, as a sensitive,
I know. even just feeling into it and talking about it, I'm feeling very emotional, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you are feeling some emotions coming up, and that's just because it's so profound and it's so beautiful as well, because we remember every stage of the process and we see where we are at now too, and we see the
Yeah.
beauty of it, and it just touches us deeply. So I'm
Oh,
listening.
it really does. And I mean, I'm so grateful for the gifts of all of those deaths, you know, myself, the people that I've lost in my life, all of it to now has given me the foundation somehow, even though it's rocky at times in these times, to assist in the transition of this planet, and to assist in the transition of those who are struggling and who are leaving this planet right now. You know, I know I know now that that's what my whole life has been in preparation for this time, to really be a midwife or a death doula, whatever narrative you want to give to that. But and it's not easy. It's not easy, because you have to meet yourself all of the time, and you have to really be very transparent and truthful with yourself, and meet the hard edges, the shadows of yourself, and all that you're feeling in humanity right now, you know. And it's tiring work, but when we are doing this together in groups of us, waves of us, carrying, you know, little parts of this for the planet and for humanity, that feels easier somehow. And I can feel that even in the density of what's being released right now, and the heaviness, that there is this shining, you know, earth. I don't even want to put new earths on it, but whatever this revealing earth that is coming to the surface now, that is there, that is tangible, and that is part of that dimensional shift that you spoke to so beautifully earlier.
That is
That
cool.
Yeah, that we have both of them merging. So it's just learning to be here right now, and meet the grief and meet all of it, and keep walking in that faith of that which is rising, I suppose.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that, Mara.
So thank you for bringing it forth. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank
yes.
you.
I have
Yeah.
so much respect for you and just who you are and what you
Oh,
do.
likewise, honey. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah. It's it's time to get real, you know, and that's why we're here. We're here really, we're all living in different realities. We're living in different places in the earth, and there's different gifts that we're all bringing, right? And holding in the
Yeah.
places, and you know, where you are in Sedona, and what you're holding as a being there, with your unique story and your unique integrations of your life, you know, and what that brings to that community and to those lands and that earth is phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no mistake.
Thank Thank you, Mara. And I feel that
So
all of us, yeah, we all are experiencing this opportunity to start to open up more, be more who we are. And it has to do again with leaves rising. Hold space, hold the space of uh, the new sun coming in, but we all have our own unique light that we are and the frequency that we are assisting with and we're helping others with. So yeah, we all have our participation, and you don't have to necessarily be some grand teacher or master at something, but your frequency and
yes,
your light that you're holding together, and you are a part of this transition. Everybody is.
everybody is.
Everybody is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fascinating.
Oh, well, and that actually just plants a little seed in my mind with how astrology and the mapping of the stars would correlate to where we are in a physical space, time space, in the country, in the place on the planet that we are. You know, how that
Yeah.
all factors in. Um, it's
Yes.
fascinating.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, astrology for me is everything.
Mhm.
I live and
Yes.
breathe. When I look at things or when people speak, I see symbols and glyphs. Like my mind works differently than, but I just love to see how astrology is so profound and can help us in so many ways. Like we were even talking about how you are studying about herbs, right? And then
Yes.
coming into how you can also use the planetary alignments and phases in regard to the crops and the different tinctures or different things you make with the herbs. It's fascinating. Astrology is very versatile, very
Yes.
versatile.
And very ancient, and I think that's, you know, which I love, how you bring it through in the way that you do, in really emphasizing the importance of astrology. And astrology is not what a majority of people would perceive it to be. You know, the really the true understanding of what that
Mm.
it's so needed. It's so needed right now. And I mean, the ancients used to use it, the physicians, science, and the medical field used to use it here in Ireland, the Celts, merging that with their prescriptions for the medicines that they would give to people, you know,
Yes, yes.
which
In
is
Europe, up until a short while ago, in Europe, it was mandatory in the schools to have astrology was one of the, um, how do you say, the disciplines
right,
that they had to fulfill in order in medical for medical uh, studies.
right,
Okay, so in Europe, yes, it was mandatory. Astrology was one of the studies in there that you had to go through to complete medicine. Even Hippocrates. How do you pronounce his name? Hippocrates. Hippocrates.
Hippocrates. Yes, that's yeah.
Yes, yes. I know we're both not native to this language, but he, the father of medicine, he was
Yes,
the one that
right.
stated that how important astrology was, and a physician without knowledge of astrology has no right to call himself a physician. This was his words.
I know. So
So
what has happened?
it's beautiful to see it coming back, and coming back also with this new insight, this new understanding of the new cycles that we're entering. So this is
Mm,
allowing us to look deeper and understand astrology in a deeper way as well, and more, and work with astrology more in a multi-dimensional way as
mm.
opposed to a linear way. This is the beauty of the cycles we're in.
Yes, so and so important. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And you
it
might
really, yeah.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
It feels akin to, well, it's that suppression of the feminine, it's a suppression of the magic, it's all the esoteric magic that has been hidden and has been put back into a box, whereas it was an integrated part of reality in many ancient societies.
Yes, it was. It was for thousands of years, and it has withstood the test of time. So
I know.
it
So,
has withstood the test of time for a reason. It
mm,
works.
oh well, there's so much more I want to dive into with you, and I would love to set up another time with you, because I know that your time is limited today. Um, but I would
I
love.
love that more.
Oh yes, and we've been trying for a long time to connect, so we finally get there. But
Yes.
I would love to ask you, just as a final sharing of what practices really help you resource yourself in these times. Maybe a couple of practices that are really a powerful way to come home to yourself and to reorient in these times.
Yes. Oh, wow. There's so many things. What a great question. Well, first of all, there is adaptability. We have to be adaptable. And
Yes.
this includes with our schedule. Schedules don't work the same way they did before. We're not like a 9 to 5, work from 9 to 5. That is not happening anymore.
No.
And we are transitioning from that. So being flexible, being adaptable, listening to your body when you feel like eating, when you feel like sleeping, when certain things are calling you to experience. Sometimes I'm here working, all of a sudden the mountains will just call me and I just have to go. So I will put everything on hold and I will go, even if it's a 15-20 minute walk, boom, out. And I'll just be there and soak that, because I know that there are multiple experiences happening here. There are parallel dimensions, parallel us as well, that we are. There's just so much happening in our reality. So, honoring these little intuitive moments where we feel called to be somewhere at a certain time, or maybe put on hold something that we had planned to do today, that's really important, because by doing this, you're listening. You're listening. And this is a very important thing because we're so used to being on automatic and just doing things a certain way. Or after I eat, I got to brush my teeth. After I do this, I have to do that. But because we are recreating our realities, we are in new territory. So listening is very important. Very important. You are defining your new rhythm, literally. So this is a whole other talk we can have. But then the other thing that I want to share is wait, what was the other thing? I forgot. There was two things. Yes, okay, got it. The other thing is make silence a priority in your life. This is so important because so many of us are afraid of silence. So many of us are afraid to be alone because our society, and that includes us, the choices we've made too, so we're not excluding from that responsibility, but society has taught us to always have, something happening. We either have the TV on or the music on or friends over or the internet or computer, and there's always chatter. And I call them distractions. Okay. Not to say that it's, everything has its time and place, but this need that we have to always be doing something. Oh my God, if I'm home for too long without doing something, I start to panic. I start to go crazy. This is changing. Learn how to make friends with silence. It's in silence that we gain wisdom. So silence is imperative. And whatever that means to you, whether it's literally to speak less and to hear more, or whether it's to be okay with being alone more. I know due to COVID and everything, we have been, oh my God, I miss being around people and all that. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason why we've been in lockdown for so long now. There's a greater reason. And we really are, at the end of the day, being made to shift the awareness and the attention inward. Because nothing is going to change on the outside if we don't change on the inside. So we need to really understand what this is all. This, even having a president or having a new whatever, as much as it is about understanding our evolutionary process through it all. And we can only understand that when we're listening. So silence, that would be my number one. Learn to make friends with it. Learn to be okay with it. There's a time and place for everything. You're not going to be alone forever. You're not going to be away from people forever. But without doing the inner work and really honoring that silence, we're just going to go back into old patterns, and it defeats the purpose for this whole process.
Thank you. I'm in the silence.
In the silence. I feel it, Mara. I feel it.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
That's pivotal. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you, everybody, sharing this space with us and listening and watching. I can feel like even as I address certain themes, I feel more energy. And time is not linear. So the people that are watching this, whether they're watching it today or people in a year from now, we're sharing this experience together right now. And I feel the energy. I feel it move. I feel the ahas, the yes, I get it. I know what you're talking about. So I want to honor that. You know what I'm talking about. And thank you for doing your part, for listening, and of course for sharing the space with us.
Thank you, sister. Beautiful. And all that is felt in between that silence. That can be that is that telepathy that you spoke to earlier. We welcome that too. Yes. Thank you.
Let's show just that in silence.
Exactly.
You'll have to make a list, Mara. You'll have to make a list.
I know. Oh, thank you so much. Bless you. Until next time.
Thank you. Much love. Bye-bye.